Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. It's Kate here again. How has your day been? Hello. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, depending on the country and the continent where you are. I greet you in the name of the Lord. Thank you for stopping by. Please, this is a very important topic, so I want you to share, and share. Share this topic to as many friends and family members as possible. You might be helping somebody to save their home, to save their marriage. A lot of times, growing up, we're not taught these things. We're just kind of naive, and you see a lot of people have made mistakes. They've trusted so badly and they got their fingers crossed. Sorry, they got their fingers burnt. I don't know where I got that cross from. Pardon me. Um, this is not to say you shouldn't trust people, but you should be wise as serpent. You should trust people, but be wise as serpent. Okay. So we're going to dive right in. Obviously from the topic, you can see that this is a case of betrayal, a case of lust, a case of backstabbing, a case of trust gone wrong. A lot of times we call people our best friends, but the question is that person you are calling a best friend, does the person see you as a best friend? The reason being that if that person sees you or accepts you as their best friend, then there are certain things they should know they shouldn't do to you. That's even number one. Number two, whether the person sees you as a best friend or not, do you even know whether the person's ideology and based on the way they were raised, you don't know whether they were raised in a way that they actually know the difference between right and wrong. So this is why when you are choosing friends, when they're talking, when you're sharing ideas, you're having general discussions, try and find out their ideologies, their values. What are their value system? What's the value system like? What are the things you think they are capable of doing? You can actually pick that from simple discussions with them, simple their opinion on certain topical issues. You can't pick one or two things to say this person is capable of doing this person is capable of doing that. um a woman was telling me she had a daughter and she remarried, and one day she was the daughter, obviously she moved into her new home with her teenage daughter, and one day she was watching this movie on Netflix, and in that movie, the stepfather was sexually abusing the stepdaughter. And she found herself like screaming to say, "Oh my goodness, how could he do this? Sleeping with a mother and a daughter." And suddenly the husband turned and said, "Oh, what's wrong with that? He's not the father of the child. So what's wrong with that?" So she was shocked. So she said, "Oh, really? So you mean that if let's say, for example, if I leave my teenage daughter with you and I travel, it means there is a possibility that you might even be susceptible to doing such a thing without thinking twice or feeling any remorse about it, because obviously you feel that she's not your biological daughter. Forgetting that when you sleep with a mother and a daughter, that's again is incest. So you can actually know people's values, what is important to them by kind of, looking out on their opinion on things. They might say it innocently, but out of the abundance of the heart, it is said that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So now I'm going to go back to Lisa's story. Lisa had this. Lisa didn't get married in time, so it took her a long time because she was an academic. She obviously loved to go to acquire as many degrees as possible. So by the time she was busy acquiring degrees, marriage was not in her agenda. But luckily, she got married. No, so because she got married in her 40s, she rushed the children. So she had about I think three children or thereabouts. So she was very happy. Her husband was well to do, and they were living happily and everything. So she had this best friend who, during the days of her spinsterhood, they were spinsters together, doing things together as spinsters. Actually, still, like they had known themselves from their days in the university. So they did their master's program together, and obviously working hard to get their doctorate to get in there to be able to get that the doctorate degree. So they were so close. Obviously, when she got married, she still carried her best friend along. She didn't want a situation whereby she knew how lonely it could be being a single person. So she didn't want a situation whereby her best friend would think that, because she's married now, she didn't want to be friends with her anymore. So she would invite her friend to her matrimonial home. She would feel free leaving her kids and her husband. Sometimes she goes on business trips outside the town where they lived, and she felt really comfortable leaving her family, so to say, with her in care of her best friend. Her best friend had, access to her kitchen, to her bedroom. They were so close that even sometimes her best friend could actually wear her her own personal clothing. They didn't see they were exchanging clothing and even jewelries together. They didn't see anything wrong in it. She could actually say to her best friend, "No, follow my husband. You is on his way. Can actually drop you to so you can get one or two groceries from the shop." That they were so close. All through the period she was pregnant and having her babies in hospital, when she was under labor, her best friend was always the very first person she would call when she goes into labor, and then she would rush immediately, no matter where she was, to be with her in a hospital. You understand? I don't know why this one is. You see, clip earrings sometimes they become a problem. I don't know where. Anyway, pardon me. That's a human error. You can't be 100% all the time. Anyway, so do you like what I'm wearing? A little bit of. I got this jewelry from a jewelry shop. It's actually handmade somewhere in Ilford, one of these Asian jewelry shop. It's actually handmade. So they picked what the woman told me. They picked all the pairs together and they put everything together, and they didn't come with an earring. So according to what she said, if you have this because it's heavy, you really don't need to put on earrings so it doesn't become too monotonous. So I just kind of blended it with my yellow. It's really, really nice. Quite a summary. Now we are getting to springtime here in London. So I would like to know your comment. What do you think about what I'm wearing, about my pearl jewelry, and yeah, and all of that? Have you do you have something like this, or do you are you a kind of person that you really don't like heavy jewelries? You prefer it simple? I really don't mind whether my jewelry it's heavy or simple. Depending on the occasion, I try to alternate it once in a while. Now back to Lisa's story. So Lisa, obviously her best friend was there all through the period she had all her children, and then they were happy together. And then sometimes she will say, "Oh," she will even say to her friend, "Oh, I can't wait for you to find that Mr. Right." The friend will say, "Oh, me, at what age? I've actually given up." She said, "No, don't be silly. Look at me. I mean, so if it can happen to me, of course, one day your time will come." Little did Lisa know, never in her wildest dream did she ever suspect that her husband was all this while sleeping with her best friend. Never would she ever have suspected. So all the time she would leave her home in care of her best friend, go on trips, on business trips for 2 weeks, sometimes 1 week, invite her friend to her home. Her best friend was busy warming up the bed of her husband. And even some those those times when she's away, when telephone calls were made through to her husband to call the children to kind of have a chat with her, oh, speak to mommy and everything. I miss you people, everything. She never knew that even sometimes when the husband will be in the room, sometimes who knows, her best friend will be somewhere there waiting for the telephone calls to to end so that she will jump into the her Lisa's husband's bed. And this continued over the years. And the husband was spending money, on the best friend, buying her expensive gifts each time he traveled. If he would buy something, why maybe the only difference in the things he was buying, it only had a difference in color. So all through the years that Lisa was married to the husband, she didn't know she had a rival in form of her friend. The husband carried all of them along, was shopping for everybody. The only difference was that the relationship was not open. And poor Lisa, anytime she had issues with her husband, anytime they fell out, anytime there were arguments on everything, who would she call or confide in? Her best friend. She will speak to her best friend. She will, even there was a time there was a time actually the husband would go for months without touching her, even if she made any move to try to make advances. He would say, oh, he's very tired, he's been working so hard, not knowing that all that time the husband was busy sleeping with the best friend. And poor Lisa will still go and confide in the best friend to say, I really don't know. My husband doesn't look like somebody who can cheat. He looks very disciplined. He's always talking, even when he sees a man cheating on his wife, he would say, oh, this man is playing a dangerous game with that lovely wife that you have. How could you do this? You want to destroy your whole family. She will confide in her friend and say all of this to the friend. The friend will say to her, you need to keep an eye, keep an eye. You never know with this man, keep an eye. Not knowing that that same friend I sent to her, keep an eye, is actually the one who is responsible for the issues in her marriage. And this continued over the years until this continued for a long time until Lisa stumbled into a text message from her friend on her husband's phone, and it was quite an intimate. The text message actually kind of revealed the intimacy between Lisa's husband, and obviously she knew the friend's telephone number. The husband um, saved the number in the. He actually said engineer. So when the text message came and she was in the bedroom and the what actually made her to wonder that, "Ah, engineer, what's her husband doing with an engineer?" That was why she picked, because they had this rule about no secrecy, and she wasn't even bothered all these years about checking her husband's phone. She was not the phone. She was not that kind of a person. And then lo and behold, the engineer, so who is this engineer that her husband is dealing with that she doesn't know? She checked and saw it was her friend's number and everything. She was she went ballistic. She went ballistic. And after the anger came the pain, came the hurt, came the feeling of betrayal, came like it was she became even depressed. She was in and out of hospital. Sometimes she was just thinking about the betrayer. She would just be throwing up. She would just be so sick and everything. And then what she did, she confronted her husband, obviously that same day. And at first, of course, he wanted to deny, but obviously she said, "Who owns this telephone number?" From all indication, this is my friend's telephone number. You save the name with engineer. Who is the engineer? At first, he was saying, oh, don't be silly. What are you talking about? What will I do with your friend? What are you talking about? Your own friend that is like your sister. So she said, okay, let's cross check the telephone numbers. Who owns this telephone number? What will an engineer be sending you this kind of intimate text message? When he knew he couldn't hide it anymore, he was caught red-handed. He gave all kinds of excuse. Oh, I'm so sorry. First of all, it started with the blame game. Oh, you bring your friend and leave her in the house and go away for 2 weeks. You and your friend, you try to set me up to fail. You caused it. You leave your home, your bedroom, your kitchen, your food, your children in the hands of your friend and everything. So she was helping you to do everything. And then at the end of the day, she now helped you to warm your husband's bed, even when he like was pushing all the buttons, trying to blame the wife. She moved out of the matrimonial home for some time and didn't even know how to. She tried. It will appear that the husband immediately notified the friend, but she tried calling the friend several times. That one did not pick up. She did not pick up, and she was avoiding her and all of that. At a stage, she blocked her, so she couldn't even reach her. So it will appear that the husband uh, quickly contacted the friend to say, there's a problem. Oh, your friend has found us out and everything. So she blocked her after some time, and there were loads of tears, anger, feeling of betrayal. Well, after some time, um, there were third party intervention. Different meetings were held, and her own family members, they partly blamed her. How could you trust somebody? You bring your friend, a grown woman. Do you see where do people leave their full plate of chicken to their dog in the home to say, help me take care of it? Or have you seen where you take a whole car and put in front of inside the lion's den and say, take care of it, let me go and come back for 2 weeks? So they blamed her, and then she began to say, oh, that nobody actually told her that it was possible that a friend could ever think about betraying another friend in such a manner and all of that. Anyway, it was a rude shock to her and a kind of realization partly of her own fault, how she set up her husband indirectly to fail by bringing in a third party, bringing in another woman under the guise of my friend, and then leaving that woman, her children, living like her whole destiny in the hands of a woman under the guise of my best friend. And then sometimes traveling for 2 weeks, sometimes 1 week. You understand? So that it just occurred to her that she contributed a great deal to the temptation, because the husband now was claiming that it was the friend that tried to seduce him. That those times that the wife traveled, she would go and wear a very transparent night gown to serve him food. That he was just she was just all over him, especially when the children have gone to bed and everything. So anyway, he apologized, and well, the family also spoke to her and asked her that obviously she's learned her lessons, and she came back and she made sure the husband deleted all the telephone numbers and had nothing to do with the friend. Well, as much as she knows, because there were times the husband, Lisa's husband, would travel on to attend the meetings in the same city where the friend lived before, and during those periods it will be like opening up old wounds again. Lisa will continue to call video calls, or where are you sleeping, where is the hotel, let me see, so that's trust, but it took a long time. One thing about trust, broken trust in marriage relationship, once a man or woman cheats, it takes time to heal. It takes time for that trust to be rebuilt again or to be reinstated. So if you are the cheating partner and your wife or your husband has been graceful enough to actually forgive you after you have cheated, don't think it's going to be automatic. Give them reasonable time. Just keep trying to build back that trust. Remember, you are the one that has faulted. Continue to look for a way to build back that trust. When you say you are somewhere, let it be. Continue, become, and then become even more transparent. Leave your phone. Let her know that she can access your phone. If there's a telephone call, don't go and hide. And gradually continue to build the trust, so that the trade, it will take time. It might take 6 months for one woman, it might take 2 months for another woman, it might take a year or even 2 years for another woman, or a man, depending on the case or what is going on in the family. So never be in a rush to say, oh, why is it that she doesn't trust me? After all, I've apologized to her. No, it's not easy like that. It's not easy. Remember, it takes a wound to heal. It's like you've opened up a wound. It's not automatic that the wound will heal. You continue to nurse that wound, continue to treat it, continue to add ointment, continue to reassure, ointment of reassurance, ointment of love, ointment of your integrity, being able to stand by your word, and gradually, like that, the trust will now come back to normal. Now, what are the life's lessons we're supposed to learn in a situation like this? Never trust anybody with your home. Women, don't set your husband up to fail. Don't It doesn't matter whether you think your husband is so disciplined, he's holy or whatever. Men love sex. Men don't need sex. Sorry, men don't just love sex, they need sex. So there's a difference between needing something and wanting something. So men don't just want sex, they need it. So it's a need. When you are drinking water, it's like you need the water to survive. You cannot do without water in a whole day, 24 hours. You need that water to survive. And so that is the same way God created men. I don't know the reason behind it. So, and these are things that we are not told. Not Nobody teaches. You see, a girl is born from day one. She becomes a toddler, and then they begin to teach her. They begin to buy toys on how to be a good mother, how to be a good wife. But there are certain things that are not revealed to women. So women go into marriage with so much high expectation, and that is why you hear an inexperienced woman will openly come and say to you, "If I catch my husband cheating, I will leave him. If I catch my husband cheating, I will leave him." And then that same woman who is saying, "If I catch my husband cheating, that will be the end of it." It's a it's a zero tolerance for cheating in my marriage relationship. That same woman will bring a housemaid, leave the housemaid in her matrimonial home, and travel away on a business trip for 4 weeks, thinking that because the person she has left in the house is a maid, the husband will not be interested in the maid. But what she fails to understand is that that maid is a woman. The only difference between you and that maid is just that you are better opportuned and privileged than her, because she was born in a poor home, while you had the opportunity to perhaps be born in a well-to-do home, and then obviously you were educated and able to sort out your life to be able to now find yourself in the position you found yourself. But a lot of men don't see that. The only thing they see is the pleasure of going in between the laps of that husband. They don't look at the title. They don't look at the title. They don't look at the education. They don't look at it. It's just that satisfaction. And very few men can actually control their sexuality, especially when when a woman tries to seduce them. They will fall. So it's always better, because the man may not have the intention, but the maid may have the intention. There are certain maids that actually come to a home with the intention to destroy that home. They actually target a family with the intention to destroy that home. So be careful. Be careful. A lot of times also you give your husband's telephone number to your friends, and then you say, go and meet my husband in the office. He can help you with a job and things like that. or you just allow just about anybody into your kitchen to prepare food for your husband. That man you are saying, it's a representative of destinies up to the fourth to fifth generation. If whatever it is you have done that contributes to him falling, if that affects him, it will affect not only him, it will affect his children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, and it just goes like that. Because adultery is hereditary. The sin of adultery is hereditary. It can span up to the third and fourth generation. So that is why it is important that you are not found wanting. You are not. You don't. At the end of the day, become the person that is part of the problems of your husband by setting him up to fail. So that is very. That is the one of the main lesson we must learn from Lisa's story. In Lisa's case, she was lucky enough that they had good people around them. She was level headed enough to listen to advice. That marriage would have broken. It would have affected the children also. It would have affected the man, it would have affected the husband. Another lesson that we should learn also, sometimes men need to be transparent. If you know your weakness, I know that there's no dog or there's no lion that they will put a cow or chicken in the lion's den, or a plate of nicely roasted chicken in front of the dog, that the dog will say, you better take your chicken away, or you take your cow away. I know that is not possible. But for men, if you know that your wife inadvertently is taking steps or doing certain things that will expose you to that kind of temptation, bring that to her attention to say, I don't want your friend here. I can take care of the children. Stop your friend from coming to the house when you're not around. I don't want it. I don't want it. Be open enough and be transparent enough to say it. Or to say, don't leave this housemaid here. Wherever you are traveling to, take the housemaid or let the housemaid go on a short break for that period that you are not going to be around. I can cope. I'm doing it in your best interest and in the best interest of your children. That is why effective communication, again, is very important in every marriage relationship. It is important that couples are transparent. You know, when Adam and Eve were in the garden, they were naked and there was no secrecy, there was transparency. So if there is a level of transparency in a marriage, couples will be able to even talk about these things that will prevent them from falling. It is very, very important. It's got nothing to do with, oh, I trust my husband, or I don't trust my husband. It's got nothing. It is the mindset of the naive person, a naive woman that will say, oh, I trust my husband. My husband can never, he will never. No. There was this case of this woman who always, obviously, she wouldn't do without a housemaid. For every housemaid that she employed in that home, the husband would sleep with that housemaid. And lo and behold, this day, she came home earlier than expected, came through the back of the kitchen door. Lo and behold, inside the kitchen, um, as she entered, lo and behold, her husband was backing her, and from behind, and was just doing what he knew best how to do with the housemaid. They didn't even notice her come in. And by the time she stood, she now walked and tapped the man and now said, what is the problem with you, this man? Why will you stoop so low? This is a housemaid that I will have to remind to take her bath before she will even take her bath. And her armpit smells. The man turned and said to her, oh, yes, it's even that smell, that natural smell that I find attractive. I'm tired of your sophistication. It was that bad. It was that bad. So also know who you become even extra careful. Know who you are married to. If you are married to a man who lacks control over his male libido, Keep the friends away. It is better not to have a female house help. Get a male house help if possible. If you are going to have a female house help, maybe not the living one, maybe they just come and do their 7 hours and go back. Even the period when they are within the home environment, make sure it's something you can manage. Or maybe they come weekends when you are home, they come tidy up, do the cooking and shopping, and then they are gone. Know who you are married to. Don't set him up to fail. So if you know he cannot control his male organ, don't send your best friend to go and help go to call him so he can help them get a job. He will sleep with them. Don't allow your friends to bring their daughters to your house for a sleepover, or your children, your daughter's friends to come over for a sleepover. He will sleep with them and put the whole family into trouble, or national become expose the family to national embarrassment. After doing it, it's going to say, "Oh, I didn't know when I did it. It was the devil." You know, they always blame the devil. To make sure you keep all these things, at least to manage, to help with at least the ones you can manage. The other ones you cannot manage outside the home, when he goes to work, when he tells you he's somewhere and meanwhile he's somewhere else, that at least you know you are not a contributory factor. That's if he falls into trouble while he's doing that, then he will bear the consequences. So these are the things we need to look into to as additional uh, way of making sure that a family doesn't break, making sure that the trust between the husband and the wife, at least to an extent, is preserved, making sure that the children are being exposed to positive um, role models, or we're able to model positive things to the children. Like in Lisa's case, the two grown children, they became aware of this incident. Sadly, they were aware of the betrayal by their mom's best friend. So you can imagine when those children they grow up, when they leave home tomorrow, will they ever in their life trust any friend or trust anybody or bring any best friend close to their home? Definitely no, because of their mom's experience. So if you've learned one or two things from Lisa's story, or you've been affected by this story of these are true life stories that I received from emails. I decided to share. And not, obviously, the names have been changed because they have decided that they have requested that the names should be anonymous. So it's for the purposes of this broadcast. This lady has been named Lisa. Lisa is not her genuine name, but the story is genuine. These are true life stories of true people, real people being shared for on this platform for people to be able to learn and to be empowered to know in order not to make the same mistakes that others made in their life. So if you've been affected by this story, I would like to know your opinion on it. Click on the also like, share this broadcast. Tell your friend about this platform. Help join and to support us. Let's build this platform. Let's the stories that we share on this platform and the resources that we have that we are able to share on this platform. Let's be able to empower as many people as possible so that as many homes as possible will be free from divorce and separation, and of course domestic violence, because these are the areas that I basically emphasize on when I share my stories on this platform. I hope you've been blessed by Lisa's story. I hope you've been able to learn one or two things from the story also. If you've had a similar experience, or maybe you know of a friend, or you have something you want to contribute, well, I'd like to know your opinion on this this disturbing topical issue regarding betrayal by friends, betrayal by family members, In the world that we live in now, even sisters, they betray their own sisters. They sleep with their sisters' husband. I've heard of a story of a woman who brought the sister to the US, and the sister was living with them. And as time went on, she had four children. As time went on, the sister, the younger sister, she discovered that the younger sister started sleeping with the husband. And before they said Jack Robinson, she actually got pregnant for the man. And she obviously, you know what it is. There was now trouble up and down. She picked up the phone, called their mother in Africa, and she was shocked. The response she got from the mother. The mother said, "Hey, and so what? The day that your husband's mother brought him to the world, did they put his name on your forehead? Why do you think that if the man is good for you, he's not good for your sister also? In the olden days, even one man can marry three sisters. What does it matter? All you need to do, it's even good that he didn't go outside. Let the wealth be within the family. At least it's your younger sister." So this woman could not believe the response that she got from her own mother, her own biological mother. So she quietly took her four children, looked for an accommodation, moved out of um, her matrimonial home, left her younger sister with the husband. And they were doing lovey lovey about her, and they were so shameless, posting all kinds of photos, loving themselves on even on social media. Unfortunately, um, she died while she was trying to have the baby. She died. But this woman never went back to her husband to reconcile with her husband. So according to her, what he does now is to change different women. He carries one today. After 2, 3 months, he drops her, goes and carries. So he's used his own hands to ruin his life because of what? Because of greed. So women, shine your eyes. You know one thing that baffles me about women. Women will hide everything about their beauty secrets, everything about where they got their wig, everything about where they got their jewelries, everything about their business. But they feel so, I don't know why their marriage is not important to them. They live just about anybody to their husbands. Anybody can come and serve their husband food. Anybody can come into their matrimonial home just anytime and sleep over anytime. They really don't, think that because your home is your destiny, the destiny of your husband, the destiny of your children, your own destiny. Anything that affects that home, it will affect the children, it will affect your heart. If you think that that man, because he's sleeping with your friend or your sister, you think he's having fun, he's using his own hands to destroy himself without him knowing. But you caused it because you contributed to that, to his failure in life. So, for any home that is affected by divorce or separation or fighting and quarreling, like in case of Lisa, where there was extreme betrayal, of course it will affect the children. It will affect the children. So that's why you got to be careful. Play your own role, and then God will help to play his own role. Nobody goes and then opens their door wide open and just goes upstairs to sleep. And so, the watchman watcheth in vain a home that God did not watch. No, you lock your door, you put the hinges, you put the bolts. Sometimes, even in your homes, you have security locks. Then you pray for God's protection. So you don't expose your home to intruders, envious friends, envious family members. Be careful. Now, in rounding up, like I will always say, when God places people in our lives, when God places people in our lives, be it our friends, be it our husbands, our wives, our children, if you are that friend and another friend of yours has entrusted their husband to you, they have opened their home to you to come in. They have sometimes left you to have access to their children, to have access to their husband. Sometimes they send you to their husband to help you find a job, to help you with a contract. Sometimes they invite you to their home, they feed you, they give you drink, they think that you have their best interest, but all that you are thinking is the downfall of that family. Remember, karma knows your address. Remember, karma, no matter how much you are planning to sleep with your best friend's husband, to sleep with your sister's husband, your cousin's husband, your neighbor's husband, karma will one day remember you. Because for whatsoever you sow in life, that shall you reap. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've been blessed by this broadcast. I would like to know your opinion. Like this video. Also share as much as possible. If you've not subscribed to my channel, click on the link on the subscribe button there. And once you click on it, you are going to see a notification bell on the right hand side. Click on the notification bell so that whenever I'm live, you obviously be able to join me on my live broadcast. Let's try and build this channel. I have so many resources that I want to share, so many I haven't acquired so many skills, and I haven't had the experience of practicing as a lawyer for more than 28 years. There's so much I want to really give out to members of the public. My little way of empowering people and being a blessing to the world. So subscribe to this channel. Tell your friends about this channel. Subscription is free. It doesn't cost you anything. Let's begin to grow this channel as much as possible so that it can reach out to as many people as possible. I would like also comment. I want this channel to be as interactive as possible. Also comment. Let me know your opinion. Opinions are not just one-sided. I would like to hear your other side, what you think about Lisa's experience. Do you think she was right in trusting her friend, or do you think what the friend did is actually right morally and otherwise? What do you reckon? I would like to know your thoughts on this topical issue. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Thank you. God bless you. Ciao.